Here's the one that genuinely stopped me. There's a device on your wrist, cheaper than lunch, that keeps time to within half a second a day. And it does it by making a tiny piece of quartz vibrate exactly 32,768 times every second. No gears driving it, no winding, just a crystal shivering in the dark. We'll get to how that works, but first, 9 other everyday machines whose insides are far cleverer than they've any right to be. Counting down. Look at a zipper and you'd swear the teeth just hook together. They don't. Each tooth is actually a little hook and a little hollow, and the slider forces the hook of one side down into the hollow of the other in a precise sequence. That Y-shaped channel inside the slider is the whole trick. It splits the 2 rows, then feeds them back together at exactly the right angle. Whitcomb Judson patented a version in 1893 and it barely worked. It took Gideon Sunbite 20 more years to get the tooth geometry right. Millions per day now, and almost nobody's ever looked inside that slider. Speaking of hidden geometry, locks. A pin tumbler lock is basically a stack of tiny broken columns. Inside are pairs of spring-loaded pins, a bottom key pin and a top driver pin, and everyone crosses the gap between the plug and the housing, jamming it shut. Push the right key in and its jagged edge lifts each pin pair to a different height, so every single break lines up exactly at that gap, the shear line. Now the plug spins. Linus Yale Jr. patented this in the 1860s and we've barely changed it. The unsettling part? A skilled picker feels for one pin binding slightly more than the others and sets them one at a time. Now, keeping heat in. A vacuum flask keeps coffee hot for a full day by fighting all 3 ways heat escapes at once. Between the inner and outer walls there's a vacuum. No air molecules means conduction and convection basically stop dead because heat needs something to travel through. Then the walls are silvered like a mirror, which bounces radiant heat straight back in. James Dewar built the first one in 1892 for keeping gases cold in the lab. He never patented it, and a German company turned it into the Thermos. The genius bit, the emptiness, is the insulation. Nothing does the work. From nothing to something invisible pushing your food. Your microwave doesn't heat food, it makes the food heat itself. It fires microwaves at about 245 GHz, and water molecules are polar, meaning one end is slightly positive, the other slightly negative. The alternating field flips billions of times a second and the water molecules frantically try to spin and follow it. That furious jostling is friction, and friction is heat. That's also why a dry plate stays cool but the food on it burns you. Percy Spencer discovered it in 1945 when a chocolate bar melted in his pocket near a radar set. The cold center in your leftovers, microwaves only penetrate a couple of centimeters. Now, cooking with no flame and no element. That furious jostling is friction, and friction is heat. That's also why a dry plate An induction hob stays cool to the touch while the pan glows with heat, because the heat is generated inside the pan itself. Underneath the glass is a coil of copper carrying rapidly alternating current, thousands of times a second. That creates a flipping magnetic field, and when you set an iron pan on top, the field induces swirling electric currents inside the pan's base, eddy currents. The pan's own resistance to those currents turns them into heat. That's why it only works with magnetic cookware, and why the glass barely warms, roughly 90% efficient versus around 40% for gas. You can boil water while a tea towel beside it stays cold. Next, timekeeping with no battery at all. An automatic watch runs on your own wrist movement, no battery, no daily winding. Inside there's a semicircular weight, a rotor, pivoted at the center, free to swing a full 360 degrees. Every time your arm moves, gravity keeps that heavy crescent swinging, and through a train of gears it winds the mainspring. Abraham Louis Perrellet built an early self-winder in the 1770s, but Rolex made it practical in 1931 with the free rotating rotor. The clever safety trick, a slipping clutch on the barrel so the spring can never overwind and snap. Leave it on a shelf and it dies in about 2 days. It literally feeds on you being alive. And now, the loop that dresses it. Velcro is 2 strips, one covered in stiff little hooks, the other in soft looped fluff. Press them together and thousands of hooks snag random loops. No single grip is strong, but multiplied by thousands it holds serious load, yet peels apart easily because you're only unhooking a few at a time along one edge. Swiss engineer George de Mestral invented it in 1941 after pulling burdock burrs off his dog and studying them under a microscope. The burrs had tiny hooks. He spent 8 years perfecting nylon that would hold its shape. NASA using it in space made it famous. Pure biomimicry. Now, from copying nature to breaking the rules of glass. Tempered glass is the stuff in car side windows and phone screens, and it's up to 5 times stronger than normal glass, but the real magic is how it fails. It's made by heating glass to around 620 degrees, then blasting the surface with cold air. The outside cools and hardens fast, the inside cools slower and shrinks, pulling the surface into permanent compression. Compressed glass resists cracks, but that stored tension means when it does break, it doesn't shard. It shatters instantly into thousands of tiny blunt cubes. That's deliberate so it can't slice you in a crash. Nick the edge though, and the whole pane detonates. Now the number 2 on the wrist of a billion people. Here's the one I teased. A quartz watch keeps time because quartz is piezoelectric. Squeeze it and it makes a voltage. Apply a voltage and it flexes. Cut a tiny tuning fork of quartz, feed it electricity, and it vibrates at a precise temperature-stable frequency, exactly 32.768 times per second. Why that odd number? It's 2 to the power 15. A circuit just halves it 15 times to land on 1 clean pulse per second. That pulse ticks the hands. A mechanical watch might drift minutes a day, a quartz 1 seconds a month. The 1969 Seiko Astron cost as much as a car, now cents. The most accurate everyday thing you own is a rock shivering. A fridge doesn't create cold. Cold isn't a thing. It moves heat out using a liquid